All right, you can stop sharing your screen.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
All
Custom
right.
live stream service. This is good.
Okay, so just to go over, it's gonna be what did you want to start off with the MLS briefly, and then
Yeah, then we jump into the work. I don't have you. I don't know if you've kept up with any of the MLS. Have you kept up with any of the MLS, Hums?
Me, I
Uh-huh.
just follow into Miami.
That's it.
That's that's
Okay.
my that's my American team. So
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not gonna
none of the
pretend like I've
games
been
have none of the
following
games
it.
have finished, so we could just briefly talk over the importance of today for some of the teams, and that's it.
That's okay. I'll happily do that.
okay, sounds good. All right, jump on in and then do the introduction, and then you want to take it off with the MLS because you're the one that's more on it than I am right now.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
Okay. Give me a second. Whoa. Oh, there it is. Oh.
Que le den cumbia a la gente, con eso es suficiente. Brilla y dale por la de repente. Que le den cumbia a la gente, un poquito de aguardiente, para sacar la cara de la mente. Que le den cumbia a la gente, hasta en otro continente, que me lo baile como pariente. Que le...
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Strictly Football. And here we go. We are in the second episode of the World Cup season that we are bringing to you. And we are bringing to you a special guest once again on our podcast. And he is Hams from the Friday Night Counterattack. Everybody say hello to Hams. And the one and only other co-host that we have, Mahiko. How are you guys?
I still can't believe your names are Killer and Mahika. That's so cool. It's not like you're going to be in the cartel in Breaking Bad, which I've started watching for the first time. You know what? I've only started watching Breaking Bad this time because I've been ill. But no,
Wow.
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me on, and I'm looking forward to hearing your conversation on the MLS and on the World Cup, which is why I'm here today to bring some knowledge about England and about Wales. So that'll be good fun. But now for my talk about the MLS, I'm just disheartened to see my beloved Inter Miami losing 3-0 currently at the moment. So that's as well as my MLS knowledge will go. So I'll leave it to Magico to talk about it. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. Good to hear your voice again. Welcome. Yeah, it's funny that you're watching Breaking Bad when you're sick because that's the way I watched it as well. Like there must just be something about that show. Definitely a slow burn, but it gets the job done, especially when you're sick.
I want anyone who's listening or watching us live to let me know when you started watching Breaking Bad for the first time. Because for me, in 2022, I think it started in like 2008 or 2009. That must have been ages ago. So I'm just kind of there like as a newbie watching this. So let us know when you first watched Breaking Bad, and if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
Definitely.
sure.
Definitely. Okay, so let's start this off with some great. This is one of the best leagues in the world. If here in the U.S., probably the only ones that think it's the greatest in the world, and we're talking about the MLS, and we got the last round to head into the playoffs. We got Orlando, and we got New York that is in there. We got Philadelphia. They're actually killing it right now. Inter Miami, they are not doing so well. So just like you said, Hams, yeah, 3-0. So basically,
but they're safe though. Inter Miami made the playoffs, so they're safe. Yeah, they're in, so they don't really have to worry about it.
Do you think Higuain will retire with a win in the playoffs? Do you think that could
Oh,
happen?
I don't know. How sad was that interview? How sad was that press conference? I mean, that was a pretty, for a person that I grew up not necessarily, I'm not a big Higuain fan. Even when he played for Real Madrid, one of my favorite teams, Milan, one of my favorite teams, and I just never, I was just never a big fan of him. But even though I wasn't a big fan of him, like it was kind of emotional seeing him get emotional about the end.
I couldn't care less. I'm so
Wow,
sorry.
that's crazy.
It's a bit savage from me as well, but I'm just kind of there. Like I remember going to watching to Miami versus Atlanta United, and he put in a disaster class when he came off the bench, and they actually became worse when Inter Miami were playing. So I'm just kind of there like, he was the guy. If he stayed on side in the 2014 World Cup final, Messi would have a World Cup to his name. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. So I'm always, for me, Higuain's got that Rivaldo, Rivaldo stigma, sorry, where he'll just be remembered for one moment in his career, for me personally. And that's that offside goal against Germany in the World Cup final, when he continued to celebrate and he thought he was going to win the World Cup in Brazil. And he ruined it for Argentina and for Messi and for Maradona as well, who was actually in the stadium. And it would have been so cool to have seen it happen. But it didn't happen. And I think that's down to Higuain being a bit too slow and not the best of strikers he could have been. Everyone's going to be hating me for that, but that's just my honest opinion on Gonzalo Higuain. There've been better strikers for Argentina in the past, and he definitely isn't one of them.
I will back you up. I back you up on that. Thank you. I dislike him for that because he also did miss another goal. And the crazy part about that one is that the same play happened back in like 2000s when Batistuta was there, and they replayed it when he did the same play and he scored it, but Higuain didn't. They were like, so there was two options for him to make it. They were like, but his skill was not as good as the other guys. So that's why. But yes, I could care less, but it was kind of sad, but still, I actually liked Higuain only when he played in Real Madrid because I'm a Barcelona fan. So when he played against us, it was safe that we weren't going to get scored on. So
those are some of the worst Clásicos ever with him at the leading the line. Jesus Christ.
Line. Yeah, I was excited for him to lead the line, man, for that purpose. But
so there was one time when Benzema was benched because Higuain was the preferred striker. It'd be like Higuain, then it'd be Kaká, then it'd be Di Maria, then it'd be Ronaldo. And on paper, that attack looked great. And I think for one season when they won the Copa del Rey, he was their main striker, which was pretty good to see because I think Benzema was injured. And I think they brought Emmanuel Adebayor from Tottenham or from Man City, I think, on loan. So that's who they had to deal with, rather Adebayor or Higuain. And that's when Higuain came into his own because he was the bigger of the two strikers at Real Madrid as well. But for me, with Higuain, it's more about his time at Napoli, in my opinion, when he was the main man at the time. And that's when he actually got to shine properly, getting them into the Champions League, doing well in the Europa League, domestically, becoming a lot more stronger, becoming a top four side in Serie A. That's probably when I recognized Higuain is a much better striker. Didn't like him, but I respected him at the end of the day as a striker. And I think that's all we can kind of ask for, really, as football fans, just to respect the quality of some of the players that you're seeing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a softie for this type of shit, but like I couldn't help but feel for him because it's at the end, and I'm getting to that age, and I was realizing that today as I was watching the Manchester United game, and my God, Ronnie he just looks slower, like he doesn't mean he's not a good player anymore. Doesn't mean he's not doesn't got a part of it, but it's coming to an end for many of the players that I grew up watching, like as a younger person, that I was like, those were my favorite players growing up, and they probably will continue to be my favorite players, but it's just kind of insane to me to see them like, yeah, this is it. Some of them are coming to the end.
That's exactly like it for me as well, because we're seeing all the players who grew up, like you said, from our childhoods. But at the end of the day, we're going to become those old guys who go, oh, you think this guy's good, but you should have seen this guy in his heyday. He was fantastic. And that's what it's like as a football fan, isn't it? You've got all these people that have been telling you previously, oh, you missed out on watching Maradona. You missed out on watching Johan Cruyff. You missed out on watching Pele, for example, just as an example. Now we're going to be the guy saying, oh, you missed out on watching Lionel Messi live. You didn't get to watch Ronaldo live, all of that kind of thing, which is crazy to see. And Higuain definitely will be part of that list as well. If you remember something as a striker, Higuain would do something. Not in the top tier list, but he'll be one of those where he was in the list of, oh, I did see him play. Not like, oh, he was one of the greatest ever. It's just, I remember watching him play, that type of player.
He kind of reminds me of the way that he bounced from team to team was Alvaro Morata. Just going but Higuain cost a huge fraction of money to every team. And he only did well in Napoli, like you said, Hans. And dude, in every other team, they paid close to 100 mil for this guy. And why? I don't know, but it's just that's the history that I'm going to be looking at. They paid 100 million for that guy. I don't know if 100 million in the future is going to be a lot, because now we're saying it's a lot, but imagine now it's like the new 2030s, because back in the day we were talking about Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo was top tier at 30 million, So it's crazy, you know, how the inflation increased. So we'll see what that tier is in the future. Like Ham said, you know, they're gonna bring it back, and we're gonna be like, oh, you missed out on this guy. So let's see how this money thing goes up in the future, because it's getting really ridiculous.
If you remember as well, it's had a total of 143 million pounds in total transfer fees as well, playing for Napoli, Juventus, AC Milan, Real Madrid, River Plate, Inter Miami, and Chelsea respectively. And he is literally, it's like you see that meme all the time of Alvaro Morata being the guy who gets to move to big clubs as money laundering to help fund the Super League. I think Higuain was the original player for that to actually help fund the Super League way back when. Juventus are involved, Real Madrid are involved, AC Milan are involved as well. They're all literally there just funding the Super League by just throwing Alvaro Morata over Europe, basically, just like they did with Chelsea. And Alvaro Morata again, he played for Juventus, he played for Chelsea, and he played for Real Madrid as well. So
Madrid.
if we see Alvaro Morata in the future at Inter Miami, we know there's a conspiracy theory right there. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's yeah, for sure. I mean, they're just kind of journeymen, right? Like, I mean, especially Higuain, like it's for like I totally agree with you with that Napoli take. Like that was really his bag right there. That's when he was really in his bag. Because other than that, I would say that it was kind of hard to be it's kind of hard to be a fan of any team he was a part of, because he would just always show up against small teams and never against the big teams. So, well, good good career for that guy. But his team is safe, so he doesn't have to worry about playoffs. His team is safe, but it is a big day for the MLS in regards to the final spots in the playoff like standing. We have the two games that are happening right now, or one of them is going to happen later on, but the one that's happening right now is the Columbus Crew versus Orlando, and whoever wins that game is the one that's going to go on. So it's going to be a tight game. They're tied right now, 1-1. Orlando just tied it up. So it's a game that, go watch it. Both teams are kind of like in a transition mode. Columbus Crew historically has been one of the teams that, usually has been up there. They've won a couple of leagues titles. So they're one of the founding teams too. So it has some history of the league. Orlando's a newer team. So that's one of the games that's to keep your eye on. And in the other game,
Columbus Crew's original logo. That was a fantastic logo when they first came out, with the people with the hats on as well in black and white in monochrome. It was so nice to see, especially when you're playing it on FIFA as well. You just see the logo. You're like, okay, cool. This is Columbus Crew. And now they've just got a bog standard basic logo. And you're like, where's the creativity gone from the MLS? Yeah, literally just like a C. It's like a C. It's like it could be like a fast food chain, for goodness sake. It's so bad to see. Like literally like a chicken sign. Sorry, I'm going through these Breaking Bad references again. Los Pollos Hermanos. I'm so sorry.
That's what you're watching. It's okay.
That's what we're on about. But no, it's gonna be fun, because I know they have a player called Chucho Hernandez who used to play for Watford. I'm not sure if he's on loan or if he's just playing there permanently as well. But I know he's like the only player I know from Columbus Crew. So how's he doing for Columbus Crew? If anyone knows.
I would not know how he's doing, to tell you the truth, because I'm not a big like Columbus Crew like follower. I know that the dude that I do like from there is he's a dude. Interesting story. I think he's from Argentina, but I think his family is from like Romania or some shit like that. Okay. And he now plays for the Romanian team. He's a super dude. Selerayin, I think his name is. That dude's pretty good. Probably not going to be in the MLS much longer, to be honest with you.
As in for better or for worse? Like he'll move to a better team, or
I think for a better team. I think it's the MLS right now. I think the MLS is in a transition mode where the players. This is not the final destination.
Yeah, it could be for Rui Puig at LA Galaxy.
It could be.
Chucho Hernandez, 16 games this season in the MLS, 9 goals and 2 assists. So it's doing pretty well for Columbus Crew. Nice. That's what I've just found out recently. But no, what were your thoughts on obviously him coming from Barcelona, playing at LA Galaxy, and he recently said publicly as well that the LA Galaxy is a very good stepping stone for a lot of young players to come and develop their talent, not just from Europe but from around the world as well. Sammy, what would you say about that as well? I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think that's a
Talking
good idea or a bad idea?
We're talking about Ricky Puig.
Yeah, Ricky Puig coming in, and he's trying to hype up the MLS as much as possible to avoid embarrassment. But I think he's got a point there. To be fair, from what I've seen personally, a lot of development can come from the MLS. What do you think?
For him, I think honestly, I think it was a good move because he's getting a lot of love here and he's getting to show off everything that he can do. And he couldn't do it at Barcelona. And honestly, it's actually for the MLS, it's a win. Maybe for the Galaxy, I don't know if it's going to work out because they would have to find new guys to replace, his strikers that he has to feed the ball to. But we were talking about this too. I think he's going to open the door and make many eyes open for younger players to come to Europe and want to come to the MLS, and give it a shot. And that's what they should, to build the MLS and make it bigger. So he's doing it. So that's great. And then honestly, he's really killing it in the Galaxy right now. I mean, he's feeding the ball to Douglas Costa. That's been really lost because they have no midfielders with that kind of vision out there. Chicharito, he's been not getting the ball either much, but ever since he showed up, he's been getting the ball in the way that he likes to, in the style of football that he likes to get. So it's been a great one, honestly. So that's my input on it. And I hope it happens more often, man. I really do.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
it would be good to see as well because it saves players just being bench players or squad players in Europe as well, and they actually get to shine properly as well. What would you say? What was your name? Magico. I know your government name, but I know your streaming name is Magico. So like, I know you don't want the FBI knowing, so I'll call you Magico.
I don't. But yeah, I think he's been a game changer for the Galaxy. And it's also kind of nuts to see his, like, while it's intense to kind of also think about like just the level the players are at, you know what I'm saying? Like he's considered a bench in Barcelona, but here he's like almost automatically has stepped into probably one of the best players in the league. And like it's almost instantaneously, which to kind of gives us a good barometer about where the league is at in regards to the competitiveness and like this just where the players are in the league, and that's okay. I mean, the league is newer; it's newer than most leagues, and they need more players like that to come over here and want to reinvent their careers. Really, I mean, or even just start a career. Because I feel like I rarely heard of him in Barcelona. I mean, I heard his name, but he never really got the proper chance he deserved. So the other game to think about, if you have time, is the Portland Timbers versus Real Salt Lake. Whoever wins out of that game makes it to the playoffs. So two games that are in our other co-host, Gallito, he's a Portland Timbers fan. So we'll see if his team makes it through. So
why don't you enlighten me on a player or two from each team that you think is a very good player and we could see them at the World Cup? Are any of them going to be in the USA squad, the Colombia squad, Mexico squad, perhaps? Maybe even like a European squad that I don't know about. Let's hear
it. I think we got one that we were just talking about, from Ecuador. He's in the LAFC. So we got one guy going to the World Cup, and I want to say for the USA, man, and this is bad because I'm a USA fan. So if I don't know who is, the only other guy that we probably have that they're going to take because they haven't announced the final roster would be a center back, Zimmerman. And that's pretty much, I think that's it, right, Mexico?
Well, from those two teams, the one from the Portland Timbers and Real Salt Lake, the only players that are going to the World Cup, to my knowledge, is one of the center backs from the Portland Timbers plays for Costa Rica.
Got it. Okay.
Marvin Loria. So he's going to go to the World Cup with Costa Rica. Pretty good player. He's probably one of the shining players out of the Timbers. And then the other dude that's on the fence of going with the US is a dude named Eric Williamson. That dude is pretty good. I like him. I like the way he plays. The problem is that he's been getting injured all season. He's been just getting injured, and that's really hurt his chances at being in the team. So even when he has been called up, he hasn't performed to the level that, just in regard, and like just looking at the midfield of the US, like I think he would be a great addition, but he's just not gonna beat out some of the players that they're taking. It's unfortunate because he's a good player.
Got it.
Because there's a 26-man squad as well, so he could even be like a bench player as well. But if there are better players in the team, as we all know, they'll definitely get ahead of it, which would be quite good to see.
For sure. Yeah, there is, especially in that midfield area, like where he plays. Like there's already a couple of players. Like the coach, you could tell he likes a couple of players ahead of him. That doesn't say that he's not a good player. It's just that midfield section of the U.S. has been kind of filled, and I think that he's going to miss out on it, which is unfortunate because I think he's a good player. But that's it, really, from those two teams. That's it. Everybody else, there's a lot of Colombians in the Timbers. There's a lot of Colombians, and they didn't make it to the World Cup, and some of them actually play in the national team. So,
I'm not looking forward to watching Colombia at the World Cup.
Yeah, well, they're going to be watching it with us.
They're going to be watching it all the way. It's going to be a fun group for them as well, because it's crazy to see. Because for anyone who's interested, I'm doing like a little mini series on my little channel. It's just me talking to the camera and to the audience, where I'm basically going through all the young players in each team at the World Cup. So I'm basically looking forward to basically the rest of this podcast, because you guys are educating me on some players that I don't know about, from Colombia, from the USA, from Mexico as well, Ecuador, like you said as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing who they could pick in their squad and who I can look out for, and thinking, you know what, some of these players that are coming out, they could be the next big thing, and they tend to be the next big thing, especially with Colombia in 2014 when James Rodriguez came out of nowhere. Again, he's only playing for Monaco, and he became a star of the tournament, and went to Real Madrid after that as well. So it goes to show that you never know where a star can be born, especially in the World Cup, from any nation in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to surprise us all in the tournament coming up.
Well, the reason I said they're going to watch it from home is because Colombia didn't make it. Yeah, so they're going to watch it with us. But you know what? We could watch them in 2026. You know,
they don't get home qualification as well, which is the worst thing. You got Mexico, you got the USA, and you got Canada, but nothing from Colombia. But it's really sad to see Colombia, because I think Uruguay qualified. Colombia clearly didn't make it, so I got them mixed up with Ecuador. That's just me being not slyly racist, but just like slightly ignorant of the colors of the flag as well.
It's okay, man. Look, there's a lot of blue, there's a lot of yellow, there's a lot
of red as well. And I'm just kind of there like, oh no, the wrong kit. That's why the kits haven't been as good for the South American teams compared to Colombia, because Colombia aren't even there, which is crazy to see. So, man. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing who actually is going to be at the World Cup. So now I need to do my research on who's actually going to be in the World Cup. But no, let's hit.
That's our next segment.
Perfect. Good segue into it, which is quite nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I got that mixed up so badly. I'm so sorry to our listeners. I'm not here every week, but normally I'm here with my research. But yeah, Qatar, Ecuador. So not Colombia, it's Ecuador. Because I was looking at it thinking that would be an easy group for Colombia, but I'm quite mistaken. So apologies to our Ecuadorian listeners and followers. I didn't mean to be casually. I'm not going to say racist. I'm going to say British, because that's a better term of the use. Pretty good. That's what British people do.
You're good. No worries on that, man. So let's do this, man. This is this is your group, right? This is where you go all in. Like you're supporting the England all the way.
I'm supporting England, but I'm wearing my Wales kit tonight, and it's no coincidence at all. I told you guys that I was going to be a bit late because I needed to wear this to kind of show that Wales aren't a team to be messed with. Because I said it in the European Championships as well. England are a very good team, but they tend to underestimate a lot of the smaller teams and the smaller nations, because they think they can just walk right over them. And I think it's going to happen with Wales, and I think it's going to happen with the USA. Iran, I think we will have a lot of power for them, but they do play a physical game, Iran. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. USA, I'm hearing all of your thoughts on the USA, so I'll leave that to you, and you can bring that up as well. And I think we can do a nice little prediction of what our starting 11 should be as well. That would be quite good for the listeners. But for Wales, small little Wales in the United Kingdom, Gareth Bale's first World Cup, Aaron Ramsey's first World Cup, they nearly ruined us at Euro 2016 when they were in the last tournament as well. And they did pretty well in the European Championships as well. So it goes to show that they are getting through some of these tougher opponents and these tougher tests. So I'm looking forward to seeing how England do against Wales. But what's your initial thoughts on the group with the USA, Iran, Wales, and England, Sammy?
This is it, man. This is my team, man. This is my USA. I mean, I've been waiting for this for so long. It's been the hardest time, but this is it. This is the World Cup where USA is going to bring the young talent that they should have done years ago and given them the opportunity to brush them up and get them ready for the next one. You know, I know it's going to be hard to say this is the one, but this is the youngest, most upcoming talent they've had in a long time, and probably pretty much the whole time. But I mean, I man, it's going to be hard because I don't underestimate the smaller teams. I actually do think that Iran and Wales have a great. They do. I mean, you know, they make it for a reason. You know, so I'm actually I don't see Wales like being a smaller team. I actually see this is one of the tough groups because you know Wales is playing good, USA is playing good, and England they're playing good. So it's hard to tell, but I mean, dude, it's hard because right now we got the USA, they're coming in and I've heard like 5 injury reports already, so it's not looking too good. I'm just hoping they're pulling the injury to say, hey, you know what, I want to be ready for the World Cup and faking an injury, but if it's not, it's gonna suck. It is, but you know, I mean, I don't even know what else to say. This is like it's there, man. This is the USA time, and just to let you know, and it's gonna be tough, man, because I'm gonna be rooting against you against England. So
Don't worry, I'm literally wearing a Wales shirt when I'm still rooting for England. So if you're listening to this instead of watching this, I am actually wearing a Wales kit whilst I'm supporting England, and I'm going for England all the way. But realistically speaking, with this USA side, how exciting is it to see some of these young talents actually getting their big opportunity on the world stage? Because a lot of them, Gio Reyna, Christian Pulisic, you're looking at Tyler Adams as well. They've obviously started in the USA. They've moved on to smaller European teams and bigger and bigger and bigger as they've progressed and gone along as well. And now a lot of them we see a lot in the Champions League. So they are common names now. You're seeing a lot of them. Brendan Eriksson, again, has done very well for Leeds United in the Premier League. So how confident are you in how USA can actually move forward, not just for this tournament, but over years to come as well? So like obviously your 2026 Home Nation tournament, but how confident are you with the development of soccer, the game in general, because of the talented players that you actually have?
I'm pretty confident. I've because to tell you the truth, it's like, you know, look at the way that they've been developing these guys, you know? Like say, like for example, Gio Reyna, as soon as he had the opportunity to jump from the MLS, he took it. And they did not hold him back. So they're just letting him go, like, hey, go. Because USA knows that this is the time to take advantage. You know, like Brandon Anderson, like he's another one, you know, like, hey, dude, go. You know, they look for the perfect opportunity to take it. And it's hard. The only one that I can actually not vouch for that took a good opportunity was Pepe. He failed. He failed, but he's recovering his football in the second division in Germany, I think. So he's doing okay. But the way I don't, you know, this coach might be the one responsible for this because he came and changed the whole team, and I think he deserves Berhalter deserves the credit because he's the one that calls these guys up, you know, and it's really good because there's so many options now, you know. Instead of bringing the original dudes that were older, now we're just like, hey, let's try this guy out, you know, bringing in the younger guys and seeing if they work out or not. And then Brendan Aronson, for example, his younger brother is in the U17s right now, and he's really good. So he's going to be the one that's going to come up, and then that's just going to add another player, you know, and it's just going to keep it going. So I hope they keep this chain going. It's been the best actually results in the longest time I've seen.
And what can you kind of tell me about the style of play that the USA have? Are you quite defensive? Are you free flowing attacking? What can you kind of sum up for the American side so we English fans know a bit more about what to expect from the USA?
So I think it's a little bit balanced, to be honest. It's a balance. I think they're balanced. They attack and then they defend. But the only struggle, I'm gonna be honest, the only struggle that I've seen the US have is that our center backs, our defenders, they're not guys that can actually come out and play, come out passing the ball. And Berhalter he's requiring these guys to come out and play passing, and they're not used to that in their MLS teams because our center backs aren't from the MLS. So that's the struggle that they have right there. And if we go up against England, your guys will eat us alive if we make any mistake doing that with the center backs. It's yeah, that's what I see. So they're balanced, but hopefully maybe they can pick up those mistakes before the World Cup and then try to fix it.
Because for England, they have a lot of retribution, and they've got retribution against the USA, not just from the men's side, but from the women's side as well. The women's side always thrashing us in the Women's World Cup. I think in Canada in 2017, they beat us, and Alex Morgan did that stupid cup of tea celebration. So, we don't want the USA to win. We're not playing friendly here. We really need to have this win. If we lose against Wales, it won't be as bad, in my opinion, as losing to the USA after what the USA have done to us. And the 2010 World Cup, when we were last in the same group as well, and Robert Green made that goalkeeping error that ruined his England career after that Clint Dempsey shot as well. It goes to show that we can't have another draw or a defeat against the USA. We need a dub. We need a win against the USA. And I think with the players that we have, Magica, why don't you talk to me about some of the players in the England side that you're afraid of? And I know one of them you'll like quite a lot from Arsenal, who scored 2 today, if I'm right.
Yeah. Well, going back on the US though, real quickly, I think I might be on the opposite end of Sam. I think, I don't know if I'm as optimistic about this team. I mean, I think that the team's good. I think that they have a young team, but I think that when you asked about like what the playing style is, I think because it's a young team and because they're so staggered, like they don't particularly, to me, like they don't really have an identity yet. I think by 2026, you're going to see that, a more solid identity, but there should be no reason why you're losing 2-0 to Japan. There should be no reason why you're struggling to score.
Are a very good team. They are
a very good team, which I'm glad that they played, because then they kind of like got their shit kind of like clocked,
they got humbled. Which is
they were humbled, because it's like, oh, we got actually a real technical side. They're not going to give us the ball. And the U.S. had no ideas going forward. Obviously, the striker is a problem for the U.S. They do not have one that is going to score consistently. The Berhalter is being a little stubborn by not calling the dude from I forget what league he's playing in. I think his name is Pifuk.
Pifuk, yeah.
Pifuk, yeah. He's doing great right now, but he's not calling him up. Because I think he wants to give his boys a chance. But, I think there's still some questions, like he's also not calling up the dude from Fulham, Tim Ream, which I think is a good center back.
Yeah.
For him to be playing in Fulham, and Fulham's not a bad team. I like the way Fulham plays. They play hard. And for him to not make it to the team, like it's just there's just some questionable decisions that I feel like I get with him. The goalie situation's also kind of up in the air. Matt Turner is a good goalie, plays for Arsenal. I like him, but he's just not going to get playing time. So you're going to get a goalie that's not playing consistently. What
about Zach Steffen as well?
He's a bench player now at the place where he went to, so he lost his position at Middlesbrough. I think that's where they sent him. So
yeah,
there's a lot
sent
of
on loan to get game time as well. So that's quite worrying for you guys, because you used to have the likes of like Tim Howard, Brad Friedel, like literally number one goalkeepers in the team in the Premier League as well. So
that's right.
You had the quality there. So who's going to be your main goalkeeper then?
For right now, it's probably Matt Turner. That's probably who it is. I mean, that's our best option. But again, I repeat, that's like, he's not getting consistent playing time. While Arsenal are doing pretty good, they're playing really well. That doesn't necessarily mean that Matt Turner's playing, But he did have a good game this last week in the Europa League. But the team also wasn't that good that they were playing against.
Bodo Glimt.
Yeah. So,
team.
Yeah, the U.S. is going to be an interesting project to see in the World Cup. I think that they're super young. I think sometimes I dislike the immaturity that they display. But I think by 2026, that stuff's going to be cut out. Yeah. I also think Gio Reyna is such a brilliant player, but he just gets injured so much. He's so inconsistent that you don't know if you're ever going to see this guy play.
Very
Like
frustrating when you're
he
watching
just
him
got
as
hurt
well.
again. Like he just got hurt again. Like
Dude can't
what?
catch a break. He can't catch a
He
break.
cannot catch a break. He should just like take a whole season off or something. I don't know, but
He
he
tends
is
to,
just
being injured all the time. He's always off.
he's
And it's
always off. But like, I don't know what's happening there. And Pulisic can't get into the Chelsea team. He had a great game yesterday, but he can't get into the Chelsea team. He's like the quote unquote leader, and I don't
He's the
particularly like
poster
the
boy for you guys as well.
he is the
It's literally
poster
the
boy.
marketable player for soccer.
Mhm. He's coming up with a book, like you know what I'm saying, like the shit that he should be focusing on. I feel like he's not. Like he's focusing on writing a fucking book. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's in it, and the thing is like the journey so far. So that means there's gonna be more. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be more books.
It
So
reminds me of when Theo Walcott wrote a book, and you're like, Theo Walcott, what's he achieved? His career nearly finished at Southampton, but because he was a young player who everyone thought would be the next biggest thing, he hasn't won a Premier League, never won an international tournament. He won a couple of FA Cups, and that was it. Christian Pulisic, on the other hand, at least has won a Champions League. But I think with that Champions League, it's gone to his head in terms of, oh yeah, I'm one of the first Americans to win the Champions League. But
yeah,
like, come on, you want to do it for your country, you want to do it on the pitch, and if he can't make that position as well, that position his own in the USA squad, it's going to be quite worrying for him to see, because those whole memes of being the LeBron James of soccer doesn't even get into the team at all. So it's going to be quite worrying to see how it goes. But
yeah. But in
that's
regards to
my
your
thoughts.
question about England,
Hmm.
England is, me personally, like I don't think that they're playing well. I think that this last game against Germany was for real fluke, because those prior games were like they looked bad. Like they looked stagnant, no ideas going forward. The only bright star that I'm like worried about, that the US should be worried about, in my personal opinion, is Sterling. That's the only dangerous player. Foden, while he's a beast at Man City, he's not getting the service and the type of playing that he's used to. You could just tell that he's like, oh, I'm gonna give it back to fucking Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire's not gonna give it back to me. I'm gonna give it back to Luke Shaw. I'm not gonna get it back. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just not used to that. Like he needs that movement. He needs those dangerous crosses, those dangerous runs. Like, cause the kid is fucking brilliant. I love that kid. That kid's hella good. But like he is not getting the type of playing style that he's getting used to. So England is just like, and Southgate just seems like super stubborn right now. Like, how is Maguire in the team? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is he on the team? Like, how is he starting? How is he the captain? Like, there's just so many questions around this man that I do not understand. Like,
Another reason why I'm wearing the Wales shirt today, not an England shirt.
it's
well.
just baffling to me, from going from the Euros and playing pretty good to now. Like, it is just like, I mean, Expression said it the best. The dude from Spurs, the fan. This is this is tranquilizer football right here. This is to put us to sleep. I think I'm gonna put this for my son and just let him go to sleep, because there is nothing happening with that team. I'm sorry. That I think that they're an overhyped team, but I also think that in the middle of the tournament, if they get a couple of runs, they'll be hard to beat. But if they don't get it start from the jump, it's gonna be bad.
I think they need to sort out exactly what system they're looking at playing. I think they need to sort out exactly what players are starting, and I need to see exactly how they're going to use their attack, because they have so many attacking players that are fantastic. But if you're not going to benefit from having all of them in the squad, it may be better just to have the main few in the team. We did that at the Euros really well. We had a 3-4-3 formation, and we had Sterling, Kane, and Saka. And as Harry Kane likes to drop deep in the middle of the park, Sterling and then Saka move forward quickly. So the midfielders like Henderson and Rice, or Calvin Phillips and Rice, could find them. The fullbacks, Carl Walker and Luke Shaw, they could bomb forward, and they had a lot more freedom as well. But if they stick to that, it'll be quite good. If you have someone like Phil Foden or Mason Mount as one of the front three, you've just got another midfielder who will sit there and he won't penetrate the defense properly as well. He won't break the lines properly. He won't do what needs to be done to stretch teams in an international tournament, and it will just be boring England again. It will be tranquilizer football. And by the way, looking at this England side that we have done recently as well, I've not completed watching 90 minutes once when watching this England side, mostly because they are that bad. And sometimes I'll switch it off at like 20 minutes or 30 minutes. That's probably why I was watching Breaking Bad last week as well. No, tell a lie.
Now
I
it's
was
coming.
recording.
Now the truth is coming out.
There it is.
I was rather watching Breaking Bad, or I was recording another podcast on another podcast because they were like, "Oh yeah, England's playing. Do you want to carry on?" I'm like, "I'd rather carry on. It's more entertaining than watching England." And then I think we lost to Italy in that game as well. So you're just kind of there like, okay, what did we miss? Another poor performance from England. So yeah, and like you said, Harry Maguire started that game and wasn't in the best of form. So it goes to show that there's so much more that this England side can develop into. We've got so many good players who I really believe should be starting. Fikayo Tomori should be one. Jude Bellingham should be another one. Bukayo Saka should be another one. Those three players, I personally think they're going to be the future of England football, as well as Phil Foden. But in this system, Phil Foden doesn't suit Gareth Southgate's style if he's going for a 3-4-3. If they go for a 4-3-3, that's perfect because you can get Phil Foden in that free role behind Harry Kane, and you can have Sterling on the left, Saka on the right, and just give free. I don't want to mess this up for your podcast, but you have to say this properly. If England give Phil Foden the freedom of the pitch, England are actually doing some amazing work and some quality football will happen. But if they don't and they stay disciplined as always, the players lose out, the fans lose out, and more importantly, the nation kind of loses out on amazing players playing football for their club, but not playing it for their national team as well, which is really sad to see. So if Phil Foden's given that freedom at the World Cup, if Jack Grealish is given the freedom at the World Cup, I truly believe the players that we have, Henderson, Rice, Bellingham, they have the discipline to actually stay there in the midfield, do all the dirty work to allow these creative players to shine. And if these creative players like Vinicius Jr. are going to shine at the World Cup, if we're going to see someone like Ousmane Dembele shine at the World Cup, why can't an English player shine at the World Cup for once? It never happens, besides Harry Kane scoring against Panama and Tunisia, I think we played against. That's not shining. That's scoring tap-ins and goals we should expect from you, overhyping last-minute goals that we should have beaten the team 2-3-0. But for once, I want an England player to shine. And like you said, Phil Foden and Jack Grealish and Mason Mount, these are the type of players that I believe should shine. But one player that I'm really looking forward to watching, because Kyle Walker could be injured and Trent Alexander-Arnold is in the worst form of his life, Reece James.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's the second place is my guy.
Yeah, Reece James is a joy. I probably spoiled one of my videos of my favorite players to watch for England, and I think Reece James is the one because I think he's in the best form of his life at the right time as well. He's playing in a system that he will be playing for in England as well. So if he's got the opportunity to run the whole length of the pitch, if he wants to attack players, if he wants to score, I think he can do that against the likes of Iran, USA, and Wales, teams that will sit defensively a lot more as well. Some of them will play 5 at the back. I think Wales play 5 at the back. USA play 4 at the back, but they've got 2 holding midfielders, like defensive midfielders. So that would be good to see how Reece James really does as well. But is there a player personally for you, Sammy, that you watch from this England side that you think, oh yeah, they're going to be a bit dangerous?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I collect soccer cards, football cards, and I have one that's really expensive, and it's a Mason Mount rookie card that I'm really hoping that he, pulls off so I can offer. Goes up the value. That's who I'm rooting for in England. It's Mason Mount, and I actually do like the way that Mason Mount plays too. So, he deserves it. He deserves a little bit.
Yeah, he gets a lot of flack, and I'm not really sure why. It must just because he's a Chelsea player, but like, I think
it's more from Chelsea fans than just from Chelsea, than non-Chelsea fans as well.
Yeah, he gets a lot of flack, and I'm not really understanding why. I think like some player, like he's one player that I think like gets deservedly flack. Like I'm not sure why they don't like him, but like it just feels like they're not always 100% behind him because I think he's a good player.
He's a very good player for Gareth Southgate because he's a manager's player. He'll do whatever the manager wants him to do. So for Frank Lampard at Chelsea, he was always the one, like the main midfielder, always going late in the box to score goals. That's why his stats were so good. He did it for him at Derby as well when he was on loan. For Gareth Southgate, he helps to press from the front straight away. So you've got the likes of Sterling and Saka, or Sterling and Sancho, or someone, or Rashford on the wings, just pressing from the wings. But Mason Mount's the first one to start the press from the beginning. So he likes to rely on Mason Mount a lot more than having like Grealish or Foden in that position as well, which works really well for England. And Thomas Tuchel relied on Mason Mount a lot more as well. With all the attacking players he had, Pulisic, Mount, Ziyech, Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz became a striker because he wasn't doing the pressing like Mason Mount was as well. And people say, oh yeah, as a midfielder, it should be a standard procedure, but it's not. You see so many lazy strikers and lazy midfielders that don't do it, and it causes your team to actually lose the ball and potentially concede a goal from the other end of the pitch. But Mason Mount is someone who nips it in the bud straight away, and he gets a lot of undeserved hate. But I think he's a very good player, and I think hopefully he'll get his chance to shine at the World Cup this year, which will be good fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Wales.
Yeah, let's talk about Wales.
About Gareth Bale, LAFC.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go. Oh, we're gonna bring
your LAFC. How's he done for you this season?
Yeah, well, he's done some good shots at golf down in the beach in down there. He's been
at least there were some good shots, right? At least some of them were good.
I'm sure. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's what he's been doing. He's been here on vacation. You know, and him and Chiellini have been probably going together to go golfing and playing volleyball at the beach. Yeah, that's what I think they've been doing. But I don't know, man. They look good, man. They came in first place in their group. So, you know, and they won this really cool what do we call it? The Shield. So he just won his first title.
The supporter shield, yeah.
Yeah, the supporter.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
Yeah, so I mean, for him, he's been doing good. And he's only here for what, 1 year? I think he signed for 1 year, and that's it.
So has he scored many goals this season?
No.
We've got 12 games, 2 goals, was it? I think.
Yeah, he hasn't been a scoring threat. I mean, I think it's a tricky situation with him because he's so fragile. So I think like there have been games where he gets subbed off or he's coming in late as a sub. I think they're just trying to be careful with him to not get injured. You know, he's a fragile dude, and I'm sure he wants to make it to the World Cup. So he doesn't want to ruin those chances. So it's, you know, it's a tricky situation, but luckily for him, he went to the best team in the league. So they don't need him as much.
Yeah.
So it was one of those situations where the best team in the league got the best player and he just improved them even more, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's arguable if he's the best player in the league. I don't know if he is right now. But
who's been the best player in the MLS, or your top 3 MLS players for the season? Because I want to know this as well. So both of you, if you've got conflicting opinions, that'd be something I'd like to hear from the both of you. Go on, Sammy, you can start first. Top 3 players in the MLS this season.
From this season? That came in this season?
No, not that came in, just from anyone. So it doesn't have to be a new sign. It can be anyone, just so I am aware.
Oh boy! All right. So
you're putting this man on the spot because
I'll make better content for your listeners as well. So yeah, we're on the spot.
Man, so you want top 5? Let's see. Okay, top 3. Okay, my top 3 here. I'm gonna put the 2 Americans, dude. I'm gonna put Donovan and Dempsey. But Dempsey's hard because he didn't really play here his whole time. So I'm actually, you know, I'm going to leave him out. And then I'm going to put one of my people from El Salvador, Cienfuegos. He's there. He's the 3rd guy, the one in the middle, man. It's just.
You're talking about current, right? You're not talking about.
Well, I'm talking about current. I'm not talking about all time.
Oh, I think like all time.
You're talking about
all time.
I meant this season. I was like, I don't know Dempsey or.
Oh, okay. So currently, right now, I would honestly, I would put Ricky Puig right now. What he's doing right now, as a striker, I would put Rui Diaz. And
who does he play for?
He plays for the Sounders. So. Okay. So he's him, and then last it's so hard, man. I'm gonna go with a keeper. I want to say the Chicago Fire keeper, because I think that's the future right there. I mean, as the keeper for the U.S. and he got sold to Chelsea, but he stayed here until the next season. So I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna put that. That's gonna be my top 3.
So unlike Matt Turner, is he still getting consistent game time as well?
Matt Turner.
Not Matt Turner, the other one. Selena.
Stefan.
Is that his name? Selena?
Who?
Which one?
Who's the goalkeeper you mentioned just now?
Zach Stefan, or
no? You mentioned there was a player that went to Chelsea, but it stayed in Chicago.
Oh yeah, that dude's pretty good. Yeah. He goes by Gaga. I forget his last name. I want to say Slonina.
There it is. It's Slolina.
Slonina.
Yeah. So
Okay.
He's only
Yep.
18 or 19.
Would you
18
start
stupid
him at the
young.
World Cup if he's American?
I would. Why not? I mean, we're
Why
over
not?
here. Why not? I mean, we're
Because
starting.
it's Berhalter.
Yeah,
Because it's Berhalter. Zach Steffens' his guy. He played with Columbus Crew. I would not be surprised if Zach Steffens the starter.
I would. We're sending in like the youngest squad ever for the U.S. Why not?
That kid is good. He denied Poland. He also got contacted by Poland to play for them, but he said no. That kid's good.
So yeah, I mean, it's crazy how Chelsea has been really good at grabbing these younger keepers. But yeah, that kid, man, you'll see him there next season, and he might not be starting in any Premier League games, but they'll definitely start him in like the other ones. So yeah, he's the one to look out for the next World Cup. To be honest, I think he's gonna develop a little bit more, and then they'll bring him in. But me personally, I would bring him in right now. That's it.
Calling it here.
Definitely.
Yep. What about you, Maiko?
MLS players. There's well, you said 3. I would say I think Pooch would be one that I would put in there. And I think I would say this because he's just changed the Galaxy's trajectory. And of course, it's a team sport, but his introduction into the team has radically changed the way they go forward and the way that they hold the play in the midfield. The other guy that I think is really good is Hani Mukhtar from the Nashville. I mean, he's kind of like a one-man wrecking crew over there, and he's a German dude. I don't know if he's going to stay in the league much longer. I don't know because he's pretty talented, and he's probably outplaying the league. And then the kind of like the revelation of the season, I guess you would say, is a guy named Drusi from Austin FC. I mean, that team itself, I think this is only their second year, right? They started last year, right?
Yeah, last year. They started last year.
So this is only their second year, and they're kind of just hitting the floor running. Like they've landed, and they had a bad season last year, but they ended up second place in the West, which is the more competitive conference. And yeah, the team has been pulling it together, and that dude has been leading the line, and he's been scoring the goals, and it was pretty
Matthew
good.
McConaughey's team. All right,
Yeah.
all right.
That's right. That's his team. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy because it goes to show that literally, I think Natalie Portman bought a team, Matthew McConaughey's bought a team, Will Ferrell's got stakes in LAFC. It goes to show that there are big people interested in the MLS as well, and it's a growing market. So it shows how quick people can develop their own teams, like 2-3 years, like you said, in establishment. It's crazy to see how it's developed, and now people want to be going and seeing how Austin FC are going to do.
I mean, it could be that, or it could also be how bad the league is ran, because it could be a display of that too, because some of the historical teams, if you look at the historical teams that started, like the founding teams, other than the Galaxy, many of them are struggling. Like the Chicago Fires at the bottom of the league, the Earthquakes at the bottom of the league, the Houston wasn't at the bottom. Well, they weren't a starter one. Kansas City missed out on playoffs. So when you look at the founding teams, like they're struggling. The newer teams are the ones that are really kind of stepping it up. But let's jump into Wales though, because we're going into the MLS. I want to go into Wales. I kind of want to. You're wearing the Wales kit, and I'm curious as to why you're doing this, because
I'm doing it for content. I'm making sure your listeners are watching this, and they're like, "Oh, we know what Wales are." But for everyone listening, Wales, this is a rugby kit. It's not even a football kit.
I was gonna say that doesn't look like the Wales kit. Yeah,
that looks like a kit from like 1994.
That's how rugby jerseys are, man.
This is a rugby jersey from 2021, so it's a recent one. I got it because every time I want to go to a rugby game in England, you have to sell a kidney to get a ticket. That's how expensive that they are. But Wales tickets you can buy general sale, which is perfectly fine. So it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to go to a rugby game in England. But now I've actually got tickets to go to watch England play rugby against Japan in November, which will be great. But no, Wales in the World Cup as well. I'm quite excited to see how they will end up doing, because there's so many teams that will get overlooked in the World Cup. And I think Wales, with some of the players that they actually have, they have a very good team. They have a very good team because they don't rely on individuals. Like, they don't rely on Bale. Bale isn't one of these players that's going to be the main man all the time. They're going to be relying on Daniel James. They're going to be relying on Brennan Johnson, who's playing at Nottingham Forest, recently promoted into the Premier League as well, and Ramsey as well, getting some game time at Nice in League 1 as well. So I think personally there's going to be a lot of good players that Wales are going to show, but because they have such a really good team unit. There's one young player I think I need to let you guys know about. It's called Dylan Levitt. He's a centre midfielder. They play a 3-4-2-1 formation, and he's one of the two sitting midfielders, and he dictates to play for them as well. He likes to pass the ball kind of. I'm not going to say he's the Welsh Rui Pug or is like a Welsh Xavi, but he's a very good player for Wales. He's someone that used to play at Man United's academy. Then he left, I think, to play in Scotland. But there's so many different players in this team. But because they have such a good unit in their team, it's all down to their manager. To be fair, Robert Page. So Robert Page is how can I explain it? He's like a company man, really. So he's like literally there. He'll make sure everyone in the establishment is happy. He's making sure everyone's going to be okay. The players, the staff, the backroom staff as well, the fans. He'll say anything to make sure everyone's looking good. And it's very marketable in that way. The previous manager, Ryan Giggs, got sacked for reasons that I won't go into because I can't be bothered. And I know it's R-rated and he had to go to court for it as well. So, but no, Robert Page is someone who I think is a very good manager. He's a very good man manager as well. And he gets some of these players who, for Wales, they are a team where a lot of their players aren't starting players in their squad. So they have to rely on players who are bench players or reserve players to actually make it into the squad as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Dylan Levitt. I'm looking forward to seeing the big players, Gareth Bale and Ramsey at their first World Cup, which will be fantastic to really experience. But I don't think they're going to be a threat to the USA or to England. I think they're going to be a threat only if they turn up in their first game. Because I think their first game is against the USA, isn't it? You've got them in your first game, haven't you, Sammy? Yeah. So that's going to be very fun to see how it kind of goes from there, because there's so many talented players in this Wales side. They've got a very good team, but I personally think USA will be strong for them. I think England will be strong for them, but England's worst opponent is England. They could not turn up for that Wales game because Wales have a lot more passion. It's true. It's really true. 2016, we played them in France in the European Championships. We go down 1-0 to an amazing Gareth Bale free kick, mostly because our goalkeeper Joe Hart couldn't save the ball. He couldn't catch a cold. That guy, literally, so bad as a goalkeeper. That's why he's playing at Celtic now, Joe Hart. But no, honestly, if England turn up in the World Cup, they'll beat them easily. But a lot of times they don't, because they get drawn into the emotion of the games a lot as well. That's what England do. But with the USA, literally, if they're starting their strongest team, if you're going to see Gio Reyna come back into the squad, if you're going to see Pulisic on top form, Anthony Robinson as your left back will have a good game against their right side as well. They've got a right back called Nico Williams, who's a player for Nottingham Forest, and they're not doing that great in the Premier League, and he's getting dominated basically every other game, and Nottingham Forest are getting dominated every other game. So he's not in the best of forms either. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Wales do. But realistically speaking, me wearing this Wales kit is just clickbait for your podcast, because I think they're not going to do quite well at the World Cup. Iran, on the other hand, that's going to be a fun team to watch. Have you guys done your research on Iran?
No.
I know that their striker is linked right now to Arsenal. How realistic are those links? I doubt that they're realistic, but the dude has always been doing pretty good for Porto. So
yeah,
and that is one of the shining stars that I've seen in the games that I have seen. He is like the threat. There is another dude, I want to say he's number 7. I don't know his name.
Jahan Bashk.
Yeah, that dude. That dude's pretty good too on the ball. He's probably he's the one that is supposed to be feeding him the ball. But the team is pretty compact. They're pretty they kind of remind me of like a Costa Rica type of team, kind of defensive. Kind of like they kind of just overcrowd you. Like it almost feels like all 11 players are behind. Like they're all on their side of the field.
Absolutely. That's how they set up mostly.
Yeah.
Are they counter-attacking team?
Yeah, they're a counter-attacking type of set-piece team, because they have Taremi as their main striker. He's the kind of one that will be the lone striker, so he tends to. It's like how can I explain it? If you've ever watched like a Burnley in the Premier League where they just lump it forward, they just go route one from goalkeeper to striker. That's how they do it, because then once they get the ball back, he will hold the ball up. He'll try and draw fouls from defenders as well. So he'll be a lot more of a physical opponent. And they've got another striker, Azmoun. There's a Bayern Leverkusen striker, but I think he may be injured. But recently, obviously, Iran, they beat Uruguay in a friendly, which was really good to see. A friendly with Darwin Núñez,
which is surprising.
Suarez.
Which is surprising because Uruguay did pretty good against. They should tell us a good barometer, right? Like for us too, just for folks that are here in the CONCACAF listening to us, like Mexico got their shit kicked, like they got their asses handed to them by Uruguay. So for Iran to beat them tells us kind of where they're kind of at, And that's not to say that they're playing the most attractive football, but what they do have, and which is what I think the U.S. lacks, is that they got a killer up there. That dude's good. He can finish.
It's like I couldn't guarantee your striker will do well at the World Cup as well, because you've got so many good creative players. You've got Yusuf Musa coming through as well. But with the strikers that you kind of have, do you think they could actually take that 90-minute test in Qatar, holding the ball up, making sure they're getting others into play?
No. But that's what this dude can do. That's what Taremi can do.
Taremi can do that. And obviously they recently drew against the African Cup of Nations winners as well, Senegal, again in the friendly. So they aren't the team to write off straight away. But again, if you aren't doing your research, and a lot of people aren't, luckily for your listeners, we know that Iran aren't a test that you have to take easily. You have to be a lot stronger against them than you think you could be. You may have to play a dirtier game than what you want to, and you may not be able to get away with playing your normal style of football. So as Sammy mentioned earlier as well, you've got to be a bit of a killer going forward. You've got to be a bit dirty going forward. You have to have the dog in you as well to actually get a result against this Iranian team. And that's what I'm kind of looking for.
They fight back. They're feisty. They're a feisty team.
They're feisty. They'll slow the game down. If it's 0-0, they will take a 0-0 because they're there.
They're like, this is great. This is our bag right here.
They'll disrupt the whole game if they can. They'll time waste. They'll have 6 or 7 people around the referee. They'll follow them to the VAR screen and everything, which is crazy.
So you're pretty much saying that if we want to go to sleep, if we want a good little nap, we can turn on the England and Iran game.
Yeah. All right. We'll
unless you want to see a fight. If you want to see a fight, then we watch the USA versus the Iran game as well. There'll be all-out war on the pitch. So
there is. The US players are gonna get so frustrated because I'm telling you that game is gonna be. Where we're gonna see the maturity of this team. That team's gonna frustrate you. In the US, I don't particularly see a leader that is gonna calm the flames down. I could see a red card in there for one of our players. For one of the
hopefully several. That would be quite fun.
Yeah.
No, because honestly, their coach, I think they had Carlos Queiroz as their manager previously at the World Cup in 2014 and in 2018, and is back again for a third spell at this World Cup. So 3 World Cups in a row for Iran. So it's kind of just they're playing the same kind of football we've seen previously.
They love it.
Them as well.
They're loving it.
I mean,
the main thing for Iran, besides trying to hack our podcast for not saying anything bad, hopefully they don't. But basically, what they like to do is just frustrate people and show that they are actually at the World Cup. They aren't looking to win many games. If they win a game, it'll be a national celebration. They're looking at banning their women's side from actually playing. So they want to get this men's side as popular as possible, which is really sad to see with everything that's happening in Iran. But that's another story completely. But another player I'd like to shout out, I can't pronounce his name properly, so I'm going to have to enunciate it as slow as possible. Alaya Sayed Manash. He plays for Hull City. He's a winger, and he's one of the younger players in this squad as well. So he could be another tricky winger to watch out for as well going forward. But there's a lot of players who I really think will be quite enjoyable to watch at this in this group. We've got Pulisic, like you said. You've got Giorena coming through, Yunus Musa, Brennan Johnson. Daniel James isn't that exciting, but he's a very fast player. And I like watching fast players at the World Cup. It's like watching things in slow motion sometimes when a really fast player goes through and then everything's just slow around him. And obviously, like we mentioned, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Mason Mount, as Sammy mentioned earlier. But the Iranian team has got some good youngsters in there. It's just obviously they want to have a fight. They want to have a bar fight, basically, in the streets, which will be good fun to see. So we'll see how that goes.
No, well, covered every team. let's do our predictions. Let's go. Let's rank them. 4, 3, 2, 1. Who's that? What about you, Sam? Where would you? How would you put this group? Who's fourth place, third place, second place, first place?
Okay. I think I would leave Iran in fourth. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put it's gonna be I'm hoping it's gonna be a USA first. Just go with USA first, England
Okay.
second, and Wales third.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna go with.
Go on, Sammy. Why are Wales going to be third and not England?
I have this conspiracy, that they're one of the preferred teams in the FIFA, in the World Cups. So there's always I feel like they always get like some sort of advantage and stuff, over smaller country teams, So that's what I think. And it's like we talked about it from the group A, like Qatar. Like, you really don't think that there's going to be refs helping them out since they're the hosts? Like, that's what I think. It's going to happen in some of the games, and that might be one of the groups that's gonna bring it. But we're not going to get into that topic because that's like a so that's where I think it is. But yeah.
What about you, Hams?
Okay. Fourth, I'm going to go for Iran. I think they're going to get like 2 points, maybe 2 draws, because they're going to be that frustrating, but it's going to be a win for them. I think I'll go for I think Wales are going to be third. There's no point me trying to be clickbaity and say England, but no, I think USA are going to finish second. I think England are going to finish first, but it's going to be one of those stupid groups. When it finishes like 2 points and like 3 points and 4 points and 5 points, it'll be something stupid like that where they have loads of draws and like they don't do very well and no one plays pleasing football because all they're trying to do is survive and get out of the group. Literally, I think it's going to be one of those awful groups in the World Cup because there are much better groups out there, which we can do for another podcast coming closest to the time as well, where we can look at the attractive players in these kind of groups and the attractive football that they actually play in international football. But England, I think if they mess up this World Cup group, they should all just hang their heads in shame and they should just retire. All 23 of these players, all 26 of these players, even if you didn't play in the squad, should retire because this is England's most winnable group in the World Cup for my whole lifetime that I've seen. Wales, they should win at least 2-0. USA will be the hardest game in the group tactically, in my opinion, because I think obviously with the players that you have with the counter-attacking style, you've showed us recently with like Reina, Pulisic, Yunus Musa as well. Your fullbacks as well, so Gino Dest coming back into it, which was really good to see. Nice to see him at AC Milan as well. You're going to be a lot tougher test than a lot of people will assume. And then Iran being a physical test. It'll be actually, the 2018 group was quite easy and we won, but we made a hash of it. We messed that up more than we needed to. But I think this one should be as easy, if not easier, because of the talent we actually have in the squad, in the team. The players that we can bring off the bench are not bench warmers at their football clubs. The bench warmers that we have in our football clubs aren't in the squad because the best players that we actually have are in the squad, except for Harry Maguire, obviously, as Majiko mentioned earlier as well. Somehow he just gets into this England squad. He's got a free pass, basically. Could it be white privilege? I don't know. But it's actually quite bad. It's quite bad to see Harry Maguire.
You go. You're dropping a lot of words today, man. You dropped the F-bomb, freedom, for Foden.
Maguire's contract has like the little fine print on the bottom, where he signed, and it says, you'll get to play all these games, no matter how good or bad you are. We're just we don't know about it, but
that's why I'm so happy with Man United so far this season, because he's injured, and even when he has been fit, he hasn't been playing. And when he hasn't been playing, we've won, which is really nice to see. So I'm really happy about that. Maybe Gareth Southgate can take that into account and take it to the national team. And guess what? We might actually win a couple of games playing better football as well. So time will tell what happens with England going forward. But that's kind of my prediction for the group. What about you? What have we got?
I would say 1 is going to be England. 2 is going to be the US, and 3 is Wales, and 4 as Iran. So similar.
I don't think USA can come top. You beat
I think the
the
decisive game for me is going to be the England game. If they can win that game, then yeah. But I don't particularly see where they're going to get that goal. I can see that being a 0-0 game.
Oh, I agree. I think
I can see that game being a 0-0 game.
No, not gonna happen.
It could happen.
We're taking
England surprised at being England will bring the horse tranquilizer. I assure you guys, they will bring it.
Oh yeah, we're the elephant. We're just gonna get shot with that thing and just go to sleep.
It'll be like the longest 90 minutes of your life watching it as well. And you're like, can I watch Saudi Arabia play instead? They'll be a lot more entertaining. Can I watch Qatar play? They'll be a lot more entertaining than watching England play.
Yeah.
Oh my days. Which will be good. But no, I'm looking forward to the tournament. It'll be good fun.
Yeah. So closing up the episode. So to end it, let's end on a little bit of on a different note. Why don't we rank these teams by their kits? Okay. Whose kits do you enjoy the most? So on the screen we have
England's kits are the worst. I hate it.
We have Wales right here.
All right. Okay.
Take it in. Okay. Classic.
Wales' kit is better than England's kit, I assure anyone, because England's kit is so bad. I went to Germany recently, right? And I went to the Adidas store in Berlin, where obviously Adidas is from. I see all these people going for these nice new World Cup kits. But I go to the Nike store, and then the one kit that I see that hasn't been touched, England. And then when I come back to England, am I seeing England shirts being bought? No, because they just don't look nice. It's a big downgrade from what we've had. I really don't like the design of the home kit. The away kit's just the most boring.
Talking about it, here it is. In all its glory. In all its glory.
If you're an American buying that kit for $94, you need psychiatric help. I'm so sorry to say. Like, it's such a nostalgic kit to get, which is fine. It's great, but it's like recycled product. Like, Nike do this all the time with England products, where they just recycle what looked good in 1990 or 1970. And people are like, oh, wow, this is great, we'll buy it. But you're buying the same product again. Why waste your money?
I mean, look at the size of this badge. I mean, this badge is huge. I mean, it's like, let's lower it down.
England fans just do that for 90 minutes and they'll just beat their chest. And they're like, okay, cool. It's pretty good. But
is that what they were trying to do? Like being a little retro, like with that one?
With the collar and everything. That's a big throwback with the retro
little collar
doing as well.
And then
obviously with that blue thing on the white one, that's just awful.
We got you're talking about this right here, the fading?
Yeah.
I don't like
that. Fading is bad. It's like level 1 Photoshop grading.
It looks like when you're trying to choose a color, like it goes from lighter to darker. Like
if you're using Canva, you'll see that tonight.
Exactly.
When you're using it on Canva, literally. You're doing your editing for your thumbnails or anything that you're doing, you'll find that. And Nike were like, yeah, this is good enough. People will pay $80 for this, or $170 for the authentic one. No, thank you.
Yeah, look at that, $170. That's pretty insane. And then last but not least is Iran.
I just think that looks quite plain, but it's better than the other ones. It looks quite standard with the colors of the national flag, the badge, the sponsor. It looks perfectly fine, but nothing amazing. But better than the other ones, in my opinion. That's what I have to say.
What's their away jersey? That's their home, right?
Their away jersey looks exactly like this, but red.
Okay.
They just did the replace background colors and apply colors to background again on Canva. That's how you do it. Just change the colors all around. And it works
so out of these 4 teams, let's rank them again. What's 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Mine is Wales, Iran, USA, England.
Okay. What about you, Sam?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Wales, and I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna go with second with the US, but not for that white jersey. I like their away jersey a little more. That white
one right here.
Yeah, I like that one more. I don't know, just probably.
I think that looks more like a training kit to me.
It does.
Pre-match.
So yeah, but honestly, never mind. Third place. I'm just gonna go with them. We'll go with Iran.
The most expensive training kit I've ever seen.
They played it safe, and it looks like okay, cool. Like you didn't do too much. It's fine.
This just looks like a team exactly the way Hamza described it. A team that's just there to survive.
And remember, they've got to pay to print their number on the kit as well, so that's going to take up a lot of space as well. So yeah,
that's why they don't got their names on the jersey. Now it makes sense.
It's like they went to the editor and they were like, "This is the only space you can't use for design because we need a clear number on here."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we can fade it with the colors." Like, no, we need a clear number on here so everyone knows the players' numbers. That's what they did for Iran.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll go with them in third, and then we'll leave England last. But like, dude, what? It looks like I'm gonna go golfing. This will look good with Gareth Bale. Like the little collar thing. I don't know.
It looks
man.
like what the coach is going to be wearing. Yes, I agree. Yeah, it looks like this is like what the medical staff is going to be using right here.
It looks like what all the middle-aged Englishmen will be wearing in November when it's freezing cold and raining in England. But they'll be wearing it with pride, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is coming home. England are going to win the World Cup," and then they get knocked out to Senegal in the round of 16. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to qualify from the group, but Senegal, Sadio Mane's Senegal, are going to defeat us, and that's going to be the end of that. I assure you.
Okay, you're here first.
We don't need to do the rest of the preview for England for another podcast. That's my spoiler alert. We're going to get knocked out by Senegal.
For sure. I would say for me, it's going to be first is going to be Iran, actually. I kind of like this uniform. While it's like, it's not like super crazy. I do like the fading. I think the fading
You
looks
haven't
better.
told us the price of this one. How much is it?
I don't know. I don't even think it's on for sale.
Definitely not in the USA. The USA would not allow anyone.
They're going to
wearing
charge
that.
us for putting the names on.
Get
They're
deported back home. That's what they'd be doing. But my home's the
is it.
USA. Doesn't matter. You're moving to Iran now, and then Iran.
Nobody
wouldn't have
has
you
access to this jersey other than the players, and that's okay. I don't even know what like brand this is, but I like this jersey more. I even like the emblem. You see, like this is the way the emblem I think should be, like small, not too big. Because this looks like this looks like an actual shield, like on your chest.
The shield is to protect middle-aged men from hitting their chest too hard after drinking and watching England draw 1-1 with Wales, because that's what they'll be doing for 90 minutes, just pumping their chest like that. And they're not the most of athletically built men as well. So that's what will happen.
So for me, first is Iran, number one, best jersey in the group. Number two is Wales, just classic. It just looks like a regular like red jersey. They just slapped this thing on there, called it the Wales kit for the World Cup, and that's it. There's nothing really anything crazy about it. Third is the US.
But that's like Wales. Wales aren't as crazy as they can be. They can be crazy, but it's quite nice at the end of the day. And Adidas have done very well with their jerseys as well, by the way. I think they've done very good in general.
Yeah.
Sweden's looks nice. Germany's home and away looks nice. Argentina will be a bestseller, in my opinion, with what they've got going on. The purple on the away kit looks very good as well. I think Adidas have done a very
well.
good
Nike, on the other hand, is kind of struggling. So they're at the bottom of this table. I do not like this. I do not like this blue one.
Adidas have come to play, and Nike have just given their interns complete freedom. They thought their interns were like they're in the now. They're the hip people. They're the hipsters that are like, oh, what do you think would look good on a World Cup jersey? This would look good.
Camo, like why? What are we gonna do? Go play like paintball or what? Like I'm not sure. Like what was? So look, I gotta disagree with you. I actually kind of do like this blue one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I like it. I think if they would have just added another element to the jersey, this would be one of the best ones.
Even just some like trim, some lining in the middle of the shirt, or even on the side.
Throw a red in there. Throw red in there. Maybe a red Nike or a red arm like band.
If they did it the same format as the away kit with the collar, with the nice little thing over here as well, everyone would love it. It would look great. I mean, some people love England kits because they're just English and they love England kits.
Of course. Fine.
But I don't. For that $180, I do not love it. You want to spend something to get your money's worth as well. Yeah. I bought a Germany kit and I was like, you know what? I'm quite happy with it. And then the guy at the till, he was like, oh, for buying in store today, you get an extra 20% off. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, because you're a new member. I was like, okay. And I was like, how much is a membership? He's like, it's free. I'm like, so you're giving me 20% off. So instead of spending £70, whatever, 20% off £70 basically.
Whatever
what I
that
got
is.
for it. Yeah. But I've saved some money, which is quite nice and I got a nicer jersey as well. So I was like, yeah, win-win for me, which is quite
so cool. I don't want to get too like taken by your like bias because you're in England and you see this jersey, so I don't see it, and I kind of don't really hate on this jersey. I actually do kind of like the red one. I don't like the size of the chest, like the emblem. I do like the collar. I just don't. I also agree. I don't like the fact that they didn't add it to the second one. I think that they should have added it to the second one. That would have made it a much better. So for me, England's third, and then fourth is the US. This blue one is really bad. I agree. It looks like a training kit, and then this one,
It's the most forgettable kit in the tournament. That one and the
Yeah.
Australia one, they're just forgettable kits in my opinion.
it looks like just like a white shirt, like just they're just wearing tall tees or white
You can
tees.
get a New Balance one that looks the same for $20, not $95.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm.
So
But no, with the back to the English kit, the away one, you say you don't see it as much. It's as much as seeing for you guys probably like a New York Yankees hat all the time. You will probably see them everywhere. With that, you'll see that everywhere. But again, you won't see it in the summer. You'll see it in the winter where you should be wearing like an overcoat and you should be wearing a
like
jacket
a
and
leather
scarf.
jacket and some leather like some leather pants and boots.
But people will choose to not wear appropriate clothing to show that they are supporting England, even though you're living in England and watching England. So yeah, but that's what people will do.
Bless their souls.
I
Well,
may have insulted a lot of our fan base, but it is what it is. But yeah,
it's okay.
It is what it is.
Well, thank you so much, Hans, for coming on. We appreciate you so much for coming on, and
My pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Definitely.
And just dropping the knowledge on it from the other side of the world, or the other side of the pond, I guess you would say.
Last question from me: what
go
would you say this kit's better or worse than the Wales football kit?
That's better.
I think that's better. Yeah, I like that.
The nice little collar with the green on it, and then same with the
collar
arms as
doesn't
well.
look bad if you make it right, and it goes with your jersey. But it just, I don't know, man. I'm telling you, the other one just looked like a golf shirt. That's what I think.
It's good. The problem
Gareth
with the
Bale's got
Wales
that
one,
influence on the national team. That's what he
it's
does.
too safe. The Wales one's too safe. Like this is like it just looks like generic.
Like it's your first World Cup in like 50, 60 years. And you
Yeah,
have that kit.
yeah. Like it's the generic Adidas blank jersey that you can get on soccer.com. And they just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. Like
Put the badge
when
on,
you buy
add
it for
another
a bundle for your
$50.
team, like that's the jersey that you get.
That's the one.
Yeah,
They needed a bit of spice on that kit, and they just didn't. They didn't go for it. I'm afraid.
yeah.
Really, really sad to see.
You want to plug? You want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, everyone do follow us on Friday Night Counterattack, wherever we are on here, just there, which is fine. But yeah, no, everyone, thank you very much for listening. It's been great coming back on. Like I said before, when we first had our original conversation a couple of months ago, I love working on different podcasts. I love meeting different people, and speaking to both of you today has been fantastic. It's been insightful. And yeah, do follow us. Hopefully, we've got some new projects coming up soon. I'm really looking forward to what we have in store. And hopefully, we'll be back chatting to both of you again closer to the World Cup. And we get to talk about a bit more exciting teams than England and Wales and Iran are going to be an exciting team, but not for their football, for other things. So it's going to be quite fun to see how it goes. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys more as well. And hopefully, there will be some good blood after the England versus USA game, and Sammy won't want to get annoyed at me for saying Phil Foden doesn't fit into Gareth Southgate's team and then scores a hat trick. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Well, let's wait. I can't wait for that day to come.
It's not going to happen. If he does score a hat trick, I'll laugh because I'm like, I get to support Phil Foden scoring for England in a relevant game, which he hasn't done yet. He's only scored in like friendlies and nation league games, which aren't relevant at all.
Got it. I can't wait, dude. That's gonna be the game of the group right there. I actually want to film myself in a reaction watching this.
Let's do a live stream. Why not? I do live streams all the time on YouTube. Let's do it.
I'm all for it, man. Let's do it. I'm all for it.
I'm looking forward to it. And it doesn't even have to be for like the main game. It could just be like, just put it on Twitch or something. Perfectly fine. I put it on YouTube. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yep. We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Thank you.
I regret saying it already, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, guys.
Because at the end of the day, you want to remember your kind of moments as well. You don't want to just think about it in your mind. If you can watch your moments back, they're quite fun to do for your reactions as well, which will be quite fun, I think. So everyone comment on Strictly Football's Instagram page if they should do more watch-alongs on their Twitch. That would be quite fun. I think it would.
It will. All right, Hans, thank you so much for joining us. This is Strictly Football, and we are out.
Definitely need to do. I'm going to do some more during the World Cup, which will be quite nice because I think it will be quite fun to look back in 2022 because you're just kind of there like, oh yeah, there's so many good games to watch. There's so many good games to watch. The repeats on that. But no, I think it will be quite refreshing to see how it goes in the World Cup. But I need to jump off now. But
Okay.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much
Thanks,
for your
Thompson.
time as always.
Get it, man.
If you want to send the reels as usual, Ariel, that would be fantastic as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing which bits you found the best, which would be good fun. So I'm looking forward to
All
it.
right. Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good day.
Have a good
See
one,
you-
man. Have a good night.
You too. Goodbye.
All right, that was a good episode.
Yeah, I think so too. You could turn off the live.